Hello, and thank you to those of you who have joined us so far. We're going to just take one more moment to let a few more participants join. And in the meantime, we would greatly appreciate if you could indicate in the chat section if you could hear our speakers clearly. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Creatio's webinar. Today is a special occasion because we will be discussing Creatio's ideas about why communication services providers should use low-code to scale operations and improve service delivery. My name is Creatio, and I look forward to joining one of my colleagues and a valued partner of Creatio as we discuss this topic in more detail. And we hope to make this a really interactive discussion today, so we welcome you to post any questions that you have in the chat section of the webinar, and that way we can answer these questions either at the end of the discussion today or offline. And we've established an agenda for the discussion today. First, we will be introducing our speakers and the companies involved in this webinar. Next, we'll be discussing the impact of COVID-19 on communications and media organizations around the world, followed by a discussion of communications of the future, the trends and the opportunities that Creatio and our partners see. Then we'll be talking about why low-code benefits the communications services industry in detail, and how does low-code scale operations and improve service delivery. Next, we'll review some of Creatio's customer cases and some of our some information about our offering, followed by our Q&A session. So I'd like to just quickly let our fantastic speakers today introduce themselves.
Hey, thanks, Corey. And actually, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce my dear friend Yoav Sneer from Amdocs. I've had the pleasure of knowing Yoav for a couple of years now, and what Yoav really brings together is people and technology. He's got over 20 years of international leadership experience, everything ranging from project engineering, project management and delivery, all the way down to technology sales and partnerships. He's really helped a lot of companies, including several Fortune 500 companies, develop strategies in each of these areas. And even though he's built and managed teams of up to 400 people, he's still an entrepreneur at heart. Yoav continues to work with early stage companies as well as many startup projects within larger organizations, including Amdocs. So in his role today, Yoav is the global head of digital partnerships at Amdocs. And for those of you that may not be familiar with Amdocs, they are a $4 billion organization with over 25,000 employees. And they really help to modernize, automate, and digitize communications and media companies all around the world. So welcome, Yoav. It's a pleasure to have you on the webinar today.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for this lovely introduction. So good morning and good afternoon to everyone who joined us from the US and the EMEA region. If you don't know, I think Eric already talked about Amdocs briefly, so let me give you the short version of who Amdocs is. So really, we are all about telecommunication, or in the broad sense, it's communication and media. And we aim to provide everything to our customers. And we talk about telco or communication and media interchangeably in this webinar. And really, it's anything from the pure mobile to the quad play players, and all the way to content like Netflix. And we see a convergence of that. I'll talk to this trend a bit later. So theoretically, if my friend Eric wants to set up Eric Telecommunication tomorrow, he can come to Amdocs and get towers or network from someone, physical network, get devices or set-top boxes from someone else, and everything in between, whether it's the call center or the billing, the self-service or the stores infrastructure, the network operation or the IT operation, both the solutions, the services, and the hosting he can get from Amdocs. And we have several customers around the world that do that. We have other customers that use some of our products and everything in between, but we do aim to provide everything telco, right? And we have our own products. We have a very unique model. We have our own products that we provide, a very wide portfolio. We are the SI of our products and other people's products, and we host and operate those products, ours and others, in our data centers around the world. And of course, we don't do that alone. We do it with all of our partners. We have a vast ecosystem of over 200 partners, ranging anywhere from the HPs and the Dells of the world, and Amazon and Google and Azure on the infrastructure, and then great partners like Creatio on the solution side, and also SI partners that we work with. So Amdocs is a public company, 26,000 employees, listed in the NASDAQ with about $4 billion in annual revenue. We've been around for about 30 years. We started Yellow Pages, actually, and we evolved into Yellow Pages billing, telco billing, CRM, full BSS, and now everything telco. And we try to continue to innovate. We actually take pride of continuing to innovate and lead the market, both organically, via many merger and acquisition we've done over the years, and again, with our dear partners. Our customers are the top telcos in the world. We have about 350 customers all around the world, which are all the big brand names you know, whether it's the AT&T or Vodafone Group, Telefonica, America Mobile, Singtel, and so on and so forth. And we take pride in enabling the most critical systems, anywhere from the billing to the call center to the digital experience. We drive about 1.6 billion customer journeys daily. So most chances are that we touched your life in the past day or months without you even knowing it, whether is the bill that you got, whether is the system that the CSI use when they call the call centers, and other things. So that's briefly about Amdocs. And with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Eric Hale, my friend from Creatio. Eric, just similar to myself, has been around for quite a while. He's been in the industry for about 20 years in different roles, and has background in telecommunication and enterprise software sales. He also developed and managed many enterprise solution channels for large telecoms and providers in the US, and also different other Fortune companies, several Fortune 25 companies to build their customer engagement, experience strategies, and other things around enterprise project. In his current role at Creatio, he is helping to bring together sales, marketing, and operations, and working on go-to-market strategies. He's also been a great partner for us at Amdocs, working on many projects. Some of them we'll talk to a bit later in the presentation. So Eric, thank you for having me, and the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that kind recap there, Yoav.
Yes.
Perfect.
And thank you so much for joining us. So just a bit about Creatio, and while this will be a background for many of our participants today, we are a globally diverse organization with 5 offices around the world. We have over 650 employees and a robust channel network of over 700 partners, Amdocs being one of our valued global strategic partners, and we are so thrilled to have them on today, accompanying us for this webinar. So thank you so much, Yoav, for joining us while we have this discussion with Eric Hale. We are also highly recognized by key industry analysts such as Gartner and Forrester, which we'll be excited to talk a bit more about later in the presentation today, and show you some of that recognition that we've achieved over the recent years. So Eric, or excuse me, Yoav, off to you.
Okay, so I would like to speak briefly about the recent pandemic and how it impacts the telecommunication or communication media market. Obviously, that's a wide topic that can be, I can speak for the entire webinar. I'll try to keep it brief, so I apologize for running through it. But the recent pandemic has been a reality for many of us, many industries, including the communication and service providers. So first of all, we've seen obviously economy slowdown, GDP is dropping. Both our our customers, the telcos and their customers, are having issues with money. On the other hand, so we see that the telcos are doing whatever they can to keep their customers connected and alive. They made concessions, they gave discounts, they gave some free service, which was great for loyalty, but created a different problem in price because it set a precedence. If I got my service for 50% off for free last month, now why would I go back to pay $100 or whatever it may be for the service? We've seen stores closing, we've seen call center closing or moving to very small capacity with employees in the call centers working from home. So digital, which was a priority for our customers before that, now is becoming an imperative. So a digital first experience, a digital first strategy is significantly becoming not only table stakes, but an imperative for survival. So we see that more and more. Working from home, everything was shut down. We face a new reality. Initially, we focused on the imperative. We focused on connectivity, making sure I can connect from home. I have connectivity, I can actually work or do something, right? And then over time, we see the move from connectivity to productivity. Now that I'm connected, I've been working from home for 2, 3, 4 months. I still need to be efficient, productive. I have new challenges, me as a person and my company as a company, with security of data outside of the network, security of the physical environment. My kids are walking in, someone is walking in, I'm talking to someone with sensitive information on the screen or on the speaker, right? So there are new challenges we need to face. So many things are changing, which are creating, on the one hand, opportunities and need for new revenue stream for the telcos. And in order to drive that, we also need to optimize CapEx and OpEx. So all in all, an industry that was already disrupted and going through significant change has accelerated the disruption rate. So what else changed? We talked about the telco role. They used to be a very regulated, struggling industry in many areas, a commodity, if you will, right? It's a pipe. We see it as a pipe, we just need it to work. Now they're becoming a critical infrastructure. I can't imagine how my family and I, for example, would survive the last few months without solid broadband. With me working from home, my wife on Zoom calls all the day, my 2 kids streaming endlessly while playing video games and chatting with their friends. So that's really, really important, right? But many people don't have that. Many people don't have the broadband or decent connectivity, and it's up to my customers, the telcos, to provide it, to enable it going forward, and make sure everyone has access to basic internet service. On the customer side, whether they are so my customer's customer, right? Whether they are residential, what we call consumers, small, medium businesses, enterprises, we see conflicting trends. We see on the short term, higher revenues because people invested more in connectivity, but we also see, as we discussed before, increased price sensitivity. We see customers, both consumers and businesses, that actually can't pay their bills now. So they bought a higher service, but now they are late on paying their bills. And this is something that telco need to plan for, and while keeping the basic service, so they cannot disconnect because they need to maintain that service. It's a critical infrastructure. We see, especially on the small, medium businesses and enterprise side, a much bigger opportunity for new services, but not only on that side. So if we look on the consumer side of the house on new opportunities, we see new needs that have came up as a result of this new situation, but they might sustain and stay with us going forward. A few examples might be, one is e-health, right? Some telcos has been there for years. For example, Telus in Canada or Verizon in the US have launched e-health services with partners, made some acquisition in that space, and many telcos around the world are now getting into this area, whether it's remote video calls with doctors, whether it's a partnership with insurance companies, with hospitals, and so on and so forth. The connected home, obviously, is a given, right? Everyone needs more connectivity at home, more services, more ability to manage the connectivity, the security, and the operation at the home. So we need connected home. The telcos are in a very good position to provide it because they already have set-top box and service at the home. Amdocs actually recently launched an offer in this space, a smart modem for our customers to use and deploy. Remote mobile payment is big, right? Before the pandemic, remote payment or mobile payment were thought of as something for the less developed areas of the world, maybe what we call the underbanked or people with no bank accounts. But now everyone needs that. Before we saw, for example, Safaricom, or what is called now Vodacom South Africa, launch a very successful service called M-Pesa for mobile payment for the underbanks. Now, everyone wants to do remote. I want to pay my bill, not necessarily from my laptop. I want to drive through to buy food or groceries, and I want to do a drive-through. I want to do a touchless payment. I don't want to touch any kiosk or even hand my credit card to the cashier, so I want to do it remotely. Again, NFC and proximity payment were there before, but weren't that mature. Now it's expedited. So that's just a few ideas or things that we see in new services, and there are much more. If we talked about live content, so on the one hand, live concerts, football games, soccer games, sports events all around the world came to a halt. And that created an impact on our customers, especially on the media side, because they had less content to provide, so they lost revenue. On the other hand, we're now seeing everything reopen in remote mode. So that presented a huge opportunity for the telcos, the media, to provide solutions that enable remote viewing, immersive 360 virtual experience, for remote events, and so on and so forth. We see music, everyone are broadcasting from home. All the big artists are transmitting from their living room on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever it may be. We probably see it more. Esport became bigger, obviously, and the entire gaming industry, but esport specifically. So again, some telcos are already involved in that area and developing offering around that, differentiating services, specific plans with connectivity for gamers. And all of that create a huge strain on the network. So they need to increase the network capacity. They need to do more on cloud migration, on agility. And they used to deploy 5G, but now they're rethinking of where and what and how to invest. In terms of a few numbers, if we look at streaming, for example, some of you may know that in the EMEA region, for example, the government asked Netflix and other streaming services to limit the quality to reduce the strain on the network. We've seen in EMEA increase of 40 to 60% in fixed line usage, anywhere from 25 to 55% on mobile, and even voice is making a comeback. We've seen increase in voice traffic because we're all working from home. Whoever is not working on IP phone is working on their home phone, or actually reactivated their home phones. Even in less connected areas like India and Africa, we see 30 to 40% increase in mobile usage. So all in all, the telcos need to plan for it. They need to put more fiber in the ground. They need to deploy 5G networks, and need to do more and more automation to handle the peak times and to avoid sending technicians to the homes. So obviously, telco is vital today more than ever, and they need to continue and do more and more. And I think we're right a bit over, so maybe I'll jump and talk to a bit the telco in general. Okay, so the communication of the future, where telcos are going regardless of the pandemic, and it's no surprise that we see some things that are shared or similar trends in this area. So if we look at the telecom industry, and this slide is something that we used way before the pandemic, we see some different trends. So the communication and media industry is impacted by user experience trend, by market forces, and it all has an impact on the IT and technology. Okay, so first of all, it's a market that is very, very dynamic. We see continuous merger and acquisition. Almost everyone buys everyone. So telco buy content, content buy distribution, and all over again. We've seen in 2016, AT&T acquired Time Warner for over 100 billion. Disney from 2009 to 2012 made several acquisitions in content. They acquired Lucasfilm for 4 billion. They acquired Marvel and Pixar. Last year, Disney acquired 21st Fox. It was about $70 billion acquisition, and they just recently launched Disney Plus, which is their new streaming service. We've seen on the working from home or the remote work, video conferencing, we've seen Verizon that acquired BlueJean, and there are reports of Comcast being in talks with Walmart for their streaming service Vudu. And by the way, there are speculation in the market about who will buy Zoom, which might be the next frontier, right? So there are talks about maybe Microsoft or Amazon or Salesforce or Google buying Zoom, but maybe a telco will buy Zoom. So that's something that they can do. So that's one trend. We also see a problem of what we call occasional loyalty that is driven even a higher competition. In the past, we used to have contracts on phones, on home services. We don't have that anymore. We used to have a lock of 1 to 3 years in customers. Now I can leave whenever I want. I can switch tomorrow if I get a better offer. We see what we call a cord cutting. It's becoming a mainstream. I personally cut the cord and don't have traditional TV service for over 5 years. I was an anomaly, but now everyone is doing it. We see the on-demand culture. We can buy HBO for 1 month, stream everything, binge it, and then next month move to Cinemax. And there are a lot of new offer and new competition coming into the market. We talked about the need for moving to new network, new technologies, 5G, fiber, and we see more and more new brands and new services coming into the market. Telcos are evolving into content and health and gaming, and those players are coming into the telco market. The Netflix of the world, the Amazon, they play in infrastructure. They're starting to act more and more like a telco. So that's a bit about the market, and we see more trends that we won't cover today. On the user side, we talked already about digital first interaction. Even before the pandemic, and I'm not a millennial and not a Z generation, but I will do whatever it takes not to call the call center, even on a good day, right? I will spend an hour and chat and other channels just not to call the call center. So digital first was there before, now it's accelerating. We want a one-click, we want always on, everything automated. We want an Amazon-like experience for my telco, right? That's the expectation. We see personalization, Netflix. I want everything for me. I want it to be relevant. I want to be able to choose. I want what we call a segment of one marketing. And of course, everything will be on demand and now and available. If you think about all of those trends and what it's doing to IT, business development, new services, obviously IT is becoming a critical part of the chain, always was, but now they need to enable the velocity. They need to enable the organization to survive. The days of waterfall are long gone, obviously, but even agile is not fast enough these days. The expectations are set by, again, the likes of the Amazon, the nimble startups that are dropping features into production every day. So that's the expectation we and the IT and the business need to deal with, and they need to partner. It's not only business sending requirements to the IT and then they'll deliver. It's everyone in together, enabling the organization to survive and to thrive. Obviously, automation is a must. Before it was important, it was saving cost, but now it's a business imperative. The time to anything time to order, time to cache, time to activation is key. We talked about customer wanting everything now, right? And the only way to achieve that is the automation of business and IT processes. And my friends from Creatio will talk about it very soon. And of course, again, we need infrastructure in order for organization to achieve everything I talked about and to deal with all the challenges and monetize on all the opportunities. They need to retool and reskill. So they need the systems to enable it, whether it's low code and BPM. It's a very big part of it, not only, but very important part. And they need more work in hand. So, and they need less steps in the development process, and then to empower people within the organization to be self-sufficient. So with that, I think that's probably a good segue to hand it over to Eric to talk about Creatio, about low-code business processes. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Yoav. And that was a great summary of all of the changes, the challenges, the opportunities that communications and media companies are facing. And the challenge really is going to be, how do they keep up with such a fluid environment? And the idea behind low code is to help organizations reduce strain on their IT departments by enabling citizen development versus traditional development, help them manage that change more efficiently, break down the silos. You had mentioned, growth by, acquisitions and mergers. That's creating a lot of data silos. So how do we break those down? And also, because of there's so many different systems and different things that these types of organizations need to, access, how are we going to ensure that their applications are going to be utilized by their frontline employees? So that's always very important, right? User adoption. And then finally, all of this costs money, right? As we're looking at applications and growing our services, how do we lower our overall total cost of ownership? And that's really where low code can help organizations. So as we look at, why is it important for companies to start looking at low code alternatives rather than traditional development methods? We look to the analysts, right? According to our friends at Gartner, by next year, market demand for application development is going to grow at least 5 times faster than IT departments have the capacity to deliver it. So as businesses face demands to grow their revenue, create brand awareness, maintain the customer experience for their customers, they're going to require the necessary tools to accomplish this, not only in the near term, but on an ongoing basis. So the problem is, IT often lacks the resources to deliver. They're understaffed, they're underfunded, they have complex environments that delay innovation. What's happening is that project backlogs keep growing, but the number of projects that are deliverable keeps shrinking. So this is really where low code and citizen development can help. What is a citizen developer, right? I think that's probably the first thing we need to establish, right? And the definition is a non-professional who utilizes low code or no code technology to develop application. It's anticipated that the low code platform market will hit 21.2 billion by 2022, growing at a compound rate of 40% according to analysts at Forrester. So this creates distinct advantages over traditional development solutions, which can be at times cumbersome, definitely expensive, and also they're difficult to customize to specific business requirements. So the benefits of citizen developers over professional developers can be realized very, very quickly. The idea of how low-code platforms are designed is to deliver custom business applications, right? To be able to design those and deliver those in a very rapid pace. So without a single platform to accomplish this, most companies are faced with the option to purchase and manage several point solutions to meet their business objectives and goals. The problem with this is that it leads to user IT, or as I like to call it, application proliferation. It creates complexity in technology stacks. It also creates multiple data silos because those applications aren't all always connected. And it also makes the change management process difficult. So by enabling organizations to develop their own applications on a single platform, utilizing a consistent technology like low-code application development, it really can eliminate the risk and costs of maintaining multiple applications. So, what can you create and automate with low-code? And the answer is, virtually anything. Right? It can be anything from front office processes for customer facing operations, so your traditional sales, marketing, and service operations, all the way to middle and back office processes like project management, approvals management, or even something like inventory management. You can also easily configure, change, and adapt user interfaces to create better user adoption of those applications. And also easily create and manage integrations with third-party applications. You can create workflows and processes that will lead to the next best action or next best offer, including setting up predictive artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. And it's not limited just to the low-code platform. That can extend out, as I had mentioned, into third-party applications, which is a huge benefit, because if you have so many disparate applications, the idea behind a low-code platform and building all of that on a single technology is enabling to bring all of that data into a single interface. So here are some additional statistics from some of the leading analysts that are out there. So if we look at this statistic from Forrester, low-code development is up to 20 times faster than coding, traditional coding methods. So that's huge. If it's 20 times faster, you can realize a quicker time to value. It's also cheaper, right? So if we look at Glassdoor, citizen developers are 19% cheaper than traditional development resources. So again, we talk about that total cost of ownership. You can do more with lower cost resources by utilizing low-code technology. And a great example of this is how the city of New York was able to build and launch a coronavirus crisis management platform in just 72 hours utilizing no-code technology. So that speaks to the ability to rapidly develop applications and get them into use quicker, recognizing a faster time to value. And I'm sorry here, my screen is frozen. All right, so what are the key benefits that low code can offer telecommunication and media companies? We look at that in a couple of different methods. So in order to describe the benefits, we really have to take a look and understand at what challenges providers face today. And Yoav gave a great explanation of that. One of the things that he had mentioned is, consolidation in the industry, has led to a lot of upside, but also a lot of downside as well. So upside would be, you're seeing increased subscriber base, additional revenue, you're gaining more market share. But the downside is that, with acquisition comes disparate technologies. There's a lot of disconnected processes, and the ability to provide a consistent service across your entire customer base becomes more difficult. So we will look at how low code can address 4 key challenges. Again, that's increase in subscribers, emergence of new threats that strain the IT resources, market saturation, as well as explosive growth of data, right? So as we get more subscribers, we get more data, and how do we manage that? So with more subscribers, telecom providers must find new ways to consistently support their customers across multiple products and services. And as you saw in Yoav's presentation, those products and those services are growing, exponentially quarter after quarter. So through low code, we are able to design contextual workspaces that will empower frontline employees with the tools that they need to support customers regardless of system or communication channel. And as you support model changes, you can adapt quickly without having to rely on heavy IT resources. And this really brings the benefit that you'll be able to effectively and efficiently manage a clean, seamless experience for customers across your organization. If we look at the statistics, it's no surprise how important it is to have the right technology in place to manage this. Right? If we look at, the statistic here from Gartner, when it comes to making a purchase, 64% of people find customer experience more important than price. So people will pay for experience. People will also leave your organization because of poor customer experience, right? US companies lose more than 62 billion annually in customer churn due to poor customer experience. So it's vital that you're providing a consistent level of support across your entire organization. Next, we talk about market saturation, and this is really where speed and time to value is more important to companies that are in saturated markets like telecom and media providers. You really have to stay ahead of the competition on multiple fronts. That has to be your product offering, the service offering. We just mentioned customer experience, but also price. How do we keep our price points competitive? If organizations are not nimble enough to stay ahead of the competition, they're going to suffer subscriber loss, as we just saw on the last slide. Low code can help reduce that time it takes to launch new applications and processes. So traditional software development can take 4 to 9 months to initiate a working product. And this can really be a death sentence in some cases, right? If you have to wait 4 to 9 months to implement a new process or launch a new product, you're going to fall behind your competition. So this is where low code, can help. It delivers projects 10 times faster than traditional development methods. So again, this leads to a faster time to value. You can recognize that value almost immediately. Beyond that, it's going to keep you ahead of the competition and also lowering your cost to do so. If you remember, we talked about citizen development resources are 19% cheaper than traditional development resources. So again, you're able to do more with less, which is always important and always an initiative that most organizations have. Emergence of new threats. So it's no surprise that telecom and media has one of the highest threats of data breach. I think it's kind of a toss-up between telecom and healthcare in terms of data breach, susceptible to data breaches. I'd throw financial services in there as well. If we start to think about the sensitive customer data that's being stored, 95% of data breaches are due to human error. So with low code, you can create and manage compliance processes and govern data easily by enabling process flows, assigning access rights, who has access to certain areas, what can they see, what is masked. You can do this very easily with low code. And then also have audit logs to kind of track those changes, and then also create triggers in case there's any failure within that process. So we also know that compliance is always changing. It's constantly changing. So the ability to adapt quickly, to these functions is also extremely important. I wish we had a statistic on the slide about what data breaches cost telecom providers year over year. I can think of multiple examples, where providers have really been stung by data breaches. You can cost millions, even billions of dollars at times. So with more subscribers and more service offerings, more products, it also means there's going to be more data to manage. So the Internet of Things alone is expected to generate over 79 zettabytes of data by 2025. And I had to look up what a zettabyte was. So it's a lot of data, guys. The problem is that it won't be the amount of data collected, but how are providers going to utilize this data to make better decisions? So low-code enables providers to connect and analyze their processes and data across their entire organization. And when you're able to analyze that data and you have a full picture of your operations, of your customers, you can start to make data-driven decisions that create better experiences for customers and also deliver better results for your organization. So excellent. We're going to talk about a couple of case studies. First and foremost, we're going to talk about Tellitto. Tellitto is one of the largest telecom providers in Europe. They have over 40 million subscribers and over 9,000 employees. And that's just as it stands today. Tellitto is constantly growing and constantly expanding their service. The challenge that this poses for Tellitto is that they have to support a growing number of customers and customer requests across multiple time zones, across multiple teams, while still, they still have to maintain that same level of customer satisfaction. In order to do that, they needed to automate their service operations and then be able to track data across 4 contact centers that support their entire customer base across Europe. So Tellitto uses the Creatio low-code platform to build custom solutions that manage their requests for different things like equipment maintenance. They're able to route customer requests based on the type of request that's coming in to make sure that that customer is routed to the appropriate team. They also want to consolidate the history of all interactions. So customers may own different products and may be supported by different groups within the Tellitto organization. So how do we consolidate that history of all of those interactions with that particular customer? So they built applications for that. They also wanted to open up additional channels for the customers to make requests. So not just traditional phone, email, but open it up to things like chat, chatbots, being able to support via social media. All of this, they wanted to open up for their customers so that way the customers could get service the way that they wanted to. And now that they have all of these different channels and all of the history, they want to be able to run analytics on their performance. So Tellitto processes roughly 10,000 requests a day through applications that were developed on the Creatio platform. And they've done this and been able to manage this very efficiently, and also have been able to create a great customer experience across the board. And this is why they continue to grow, and this is why their customer satisfaction scores have grown year over year, because they've had the tools necessary to empower all of those engagements to be managed easily. So these are just some examples of how they're utilizing the tool today. As their business needs change, they have a platform in place that they can create even more custom applications and more processes very easily on the fly, utilizing low-code technology. And with that being said, I think you've heard my voice for a long time now. I'm going to turn it back over to my friend Yoav to talk about a customer case within EMEA. So Yoav, I'll let you jump into this case study.
Yeah, will do. So another interesting case study is with one of our Amdocs customers in EMEA. It's a customer that has served about 30 million subscribers, and we've been working hard on doing a digital transformation program for them. As part of that program, they told us that their current Salesforce automation solution is just not working for them. They have different gaps, whether it's in lead management and pipeline management, lack of visibility, tracking, a lot of manual processes, and of course it creates challenges on cross-team misalignment and many other different things. Almost a a typical case study, if you will. Obviously, we brought Creatio in and we provided them a solution focusing on their business sales. We wanted to improve the account management, the sales management, monitoring analytics, and what we're able to provide for them, we actually put into production as we speak these days together. We are focusing on giving them more visibility, more efficiency in selling, and of course, increase their revenue.
Perfect. Thanks, Yoav. And I think we're going to be turning it back over to Cray to talk about the low-code platform and CRM.
Yes. So first off, thank you so much to both Yoav and Eric for this great discussion. I want to talk a bit more about Creatio and our platform. Something that we want to reiterate, obviously, is our vision. And we believe that we've created a world where anyone can automate business ideas in minutes, enabling users with no coding experience to automate processes and simplify daily tasks. Our flexible and easy to use platform supports users across industries, and we just talked about how we support users from communication services industries to simplify their business needs and accomplish their goals. And we accomplish this mission of helping companies to accelerate through our core differentiators. And we've referred to those recently as our Creatio superpowers. And we identified those as our unified CRM to align sales, service, and marketing, our BPM engine to help streamline processes, and our low-code platform to make everyone a developer. And to speak a bit more to our unified CRM, Creatio's unified CRM helps marketing, sales, and service teams gain a complete client data overview, increase conversions, and many more benefits. And our powerful BPM engine helps organizations, automate both customer-facing and operational processes, and unifies applications and drives efficiency across the organization. And our low-code platform, as mentioned prior, our low-code platform is the foundation of our product and the foundation of our all-encompassing CRM suite. And it enables us to create and tailor and customize processes ranging in complexity across use cases, across industries, truly speaking to the fact that this is an industry-agnostic platform, but there are measurable benefits that we've accomplished for our communication services providers. And again, just to reiterate that vision and that mission that we have, we believe that we have created a world where any business idea can be automated within minutes. And we want to speak to our accomplishments. Some of the things that we've accomplished over the years is impressive analyst recognition for the strong value that we've been able to deliver to our customers worldwide. We are acknowledged in 7 Forrester waves. It's an accomplishment to be included in 1 Forrester wave. So the fact that we are in 7 really speaks tremendously about our offering, and we're very proud of this. We are a strong performer in 6 out of 7 of these waves. The first 2 speaking to our process automation and low-code capabilities, the latter 5 really emphasizing our Salesforce automation and CRM capabilities. We look forward to continuing to grow that recognition with Forrester. We are also included in 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants. Important to note that we are actually a leader in the Magic Quadrant for Salesforce automation and the Magic Quadrant for CRM lead management. The first 2 of these Gartner Magic Quadrants noted here really speak to our low-code platform and our business process management capabilities. Again, we've achieved this, stellar user and analyst recognition over the recent years, and look forward to continuing to grow that recognition. And with that being said, we look forward to taking many of your questions today. Yoav and Eric, I hope you're ready for a series of questions that the audience is curious about.
Yeah.
Our first question is, how does low-code technology decrease the time spent on application development? Eric, I think this is a good question for you to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, low code enables a couple of different aspects, right? So if we think about traditional development resources, there's coding, there's you have to have knowledge of a specific coding language. That also has to be collaborated across multiple teams. So where low code really helps is the fact that it's a user intuitive tool that will enable not just people that have special coding skills or special programming skills, but you can create applications, user interfaces, processes, you name it, workflows, utilizing a visual designer. So if you have a good understanding of what you're trying to accomplish for your particular organization, this can be done at the business analyst level. IT departments, as we had mentioned, are very, very strained in terms of the different projects that they have to commit to. So, if their backlog keeps growing and growing and growing, they're going to lack the resources to keep up with that. So, how we speed up development from a low-code perspective is enabling additional users, what we call citizen developers, to take part in that process. And not only can they build that very quickly utilizing a visual designer, it also helps in the sense that we put that all onto a single technology as well. So I had mentioned, app proliferation. So a lot of times, low code takes the place of different point solutions. So if you're going out to go, buy a sales tool, and then your document management tool, and then another tool to manage a different application, now you have three technologies that you're trying to configure into one. Where low-code platforms come in is that you're utilizing the same technology, to develop those applications, and then those applications run seamlessly with each other, not requiring, integration with each other, but simple configuration on how that data is going to flow across the platform. So that's really how low-code can reduce the time to getting applications and projects up and running over traditional development methods.
Thank you so much, Eric. Now, I think I actually have a good question for Yov. If everyone's a developer, doesn't low code become a risk to Amdocs system integrator business? Yov, would you like to speak to this question?
Sure. It's an obvious question, but actually I would say it's not a risk, it's an opportunity. And essentially it allows us to do, or our customers to do, much more with less. If you think about all the challenges, the endless challenges I talked about that our customers are facing, they need to do almost everything all over again. And even if they have unlimited budget, which they don't, and even if I put the entire 26,000 employees of Amdocs for use for any one of my customers, it still might not be enough. Now, if they can use their citizen developers and do more with less, and of course also Eric said earlier that it's significantly cheaper to do it with citizen developers. And we at Amdocs, we want our customers to succeed. We want them to do more with less. And we want to focus on where we bring the most value. And the most value we bring is at the very, very complex things or development tasks that cannot be done with low-code. Low-code can do 70, 80, maybe even 90%. But then there is at least 10% that is very, very complex, very, very professional, dedicated development, where it's integration or very, very low level code that need to be done. And this is where we shine. So if we can do that for our customers, let them do everything else by themselves, we can all do it better, cheaper, and do much more so they can get back and stay ahead of the market.
Excellent, thank you so much. I think that was very helpful for our audience. I think I have a good question for Eric now. Can media companies also use your products to increase customer satisfaction?
Oh, of course. So, we talked about the way that consumer behaviors are growing, right? Everything from the way that we order products, down to the way we manage our money, This is never more true than in saturated markets like telecom and media. Consumers have a lot of choice, and the way that low code can help increase customer satisfaction is that we need to provide the best experience, a seamless experience for all of these customer engagements. So that's from when we market and sell to them, all the way through the ongoing support of that customer. That experience needs to be exactly the same. We don't, we as consumers don't look at companies as, a marketing department, a sales department, and a service department. We just look at that company as that service provider, and we have the expectation that our needs will be met equally, everything from marketing all the way through the ongoing support. So we call that the customer journey. And the way that low code and process automation can help with that is the fact that we need to come up with creative ways to manage our engagements with our customers. We gave the story from Tellitto. Tellitto is a great example of that. 40 million customers all across Europe being supported by centralized resources. How do we ensure that each person within those 4 contact centers are providing the exact same level of service? Well, we can do that with low code by developing workflows and processes that will guide them to the next best action or the next best offer for that particular customer. In addition to that, we can also start to take in those requests from different channels. Right, so no longer, Yoav mentioned earlier, I'm with him. I'm not millennial or Gen Z. I don't want to call into a contact center either. I'd rather, utilize digital methods to get service. So the ability to take in data from multiple sources and ensure that that experience is going to be the same regardless of the channel of choice is ultimately important. It's those companies that get this right that are going to succeed in providing a higher level of customer satisfaction. Higher level of customer satisfaction reduces churn, creates brand advocates, and gets more subscribers onto your platform versus others. So this is how they can utilize low code to create better experiences and get better results.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eric. Quick question that I want to just answer. I know that some of you are asking if this session is being recorded, and yes, it is being recorded, and for all registered participants, you'll receive a follow-up email with the recording of the session. So thank you for registering to participate, and you will receive that briefly after our discussion today. But we do have another question, and that is, do tech giants such as Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, it's a big list, pose a risk to the development of traditional communications companies? If yes, how do we address it? Yoav, I think this is a good question for you to answer.
It's a very good question. It's actually a few $1 billion worth of question. It's a communication strategy 101 these days, because not only the tech giants want to eat their lunch, everyone want to go there, right? We talked about Disney launching a streaming service. We see Google, that you didn't ask about, but Google have been deploying fiber in the ground, Google Fiber, for the past few years in the US. I actually have their service. It's great. Before that, I was moving from one provider to another every year because they gave me a better offer. Now I have fiber for the past few years. It's a great price. It's a great service. So, and I can go on and on. So yes, everyone wants to go into this market. That's part of why it's so competitive. But on the other hand, companies that are trying to go from different markets like technology into this market, they find that it's not as simple as they like. If I go back to Google, they start deploying fiber, they slow down, they discover it's, when you go and actually put lines in the ground there, it's not as easy as developing a code, right, or doing search engine, but it's still not enough. So yes, there's a lot of things that are a threat, and the tech companies are going in. And then the telcos or the communication provider need to go up the chain or vertically expand. And we talked about where they need to go. So they're already well positioned as a line provider as a thread, but then they can go into the home. They're already in the home with the set-top boxes. They can provide smart hubs where they can compete with the Alexas of the world or the different hubs or work with them. So there is a competition there, and we see both competition and partnership between telcos and those giants, for example, in the Alexa world and all the smart hubs. We talked about e-health, about gaming. They can go there and they can provide, since they control the last mile, they can provide differentiated offering for gamers that bundle content, games, and experience in latency and broadband and monitored line, dedicated lines, things that were only available for big enterprises, by the way, up until past year or two, and so on and so forth. So there are many things that they can do and are doing, and we see different trends around the world depending on the competition. And again, I can talk about that for an entire webinar, but that's probably for another time.
Thank you so much. That was great for our audience. So I think we're going to have to answer the remainder of our questions offline today, but I want to give a big thank you to our two speakers, Eric and Yoav. You've led a great discussion today, so thank you so much. And thank you to all of our participants who have joined us today. We look forward to having you on future Creatio webinars and some of our digital events that are upcoming.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Hooray, Yoav.
Thank you very much.